So someone was missing from Wednesday Night Dash this week. Was it you, Eric?
No, I was there. I
Oh,
can forget
yeah.
about it though.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a forgettable week for you, but it was a non-existent week for me. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk the weekend in racing. Nashville coming up on the IndyCar schedule. This is FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Fluck.
I'm Eric Richardson.
So yeah, I was not present for Wednesday Night Dash this week. I had an event, had to do the parenting thing and didn't get home in time. And
Oh, that's not important. What are you talking about?
it's like I prefer to not have my children look back and resent me in 10. I mean, they're going to for their teenage years. That's a given because that will happen. But after they get past those teenage years and they become adults, I don't want them to resent me. So that's where you can try to win them back. I don't want to blow that chance.
So before we get too far here, notice I don't have a hat on.
Oh, you don't? Why is that?
I'm doing some cleaning, getting ready for our son's first birthday, and finally found the bin of it. I have a throwback. See if you remember this one.
Oh! Time out. Hang on a second. All right. We're going to pause the show. Eric, entertain for like 30 seconds. I will be right back.
Oh, man. Yeah, found this one. Jeff Gordon hat. Of course, he was a Chevy driver, and I wore it to Ford Fan Day when DJ and I went down to the Indianapolis when they were getting ready to run the Brickyard. So it's really fun taking pictures with a Gordon hat and Chevy driver with all the Ford drivers. I'm sure DJ's got a surprise here. Oh, there it is.
Not quite the same, but
I was just telling him about how I wore a Gordon Chevy hat at Ford Fan Day.
I do. I've had this one for years too. Not quite the same hat. You can see it's a little bit different, but still, you got the throwback DuPont Jeff Gordon hat.
Indiana driver from Pittsburgh. We're from Indiana. It kind of made sense.
Yeah, you pull up
the reason why we got hooked on NASCAR.
Well, yeah. I mean that hooked me as a kid. But yeah, that's I pulled this. I've actually had this hanging on my hat rack. I haven't actually worn this hat in a long time, but
I haven't had this on in years.
When I was literally running down the hallway trying to keep the dead air to the minimum, and I'm sitting there trying to clean the dust off as I'm running down the hallway.
Oh, where do we want to go first? We had Wednesday Night Dash, Formula One, NASCAR.
I mean,
a lot going on. Maybe not really. I don't know.
So on the Formula One, Max Verstappen, Max wins. Have you seen the Max Verstappen Heineken commercial? I don't know how long it's been. I have. So Max is going out and he's with a group, and they're trying to decide at the table at this bar, who's going to be the designated driver. And it was who's the best driver? And everyone, the key gets handed to Max. And he looks visibly annoyed. And then they go out to another bar and another night, it's who's the, and they hand the key to Max. Then they hand the key to Max and so on. He's getting really annoyed. So then one night they go out and they go to hand the key to Max, and he's sitting there holding his bottle of Heineken drinking. I
have seen it.
Yeah. And he's And then, somebody else has to be the designated driver who's super bummed out. And as they're getting in their car to leave, Max turns around and shows that it's a bottle of Heineken Zero and jumps in his own car and takes off, which I believe was a Ford Mustang.
So I got one Formula One question for you.
Yeah.
Checo finally finishes second.
He does.
Is he returning to form? Then really, is his car and Max's car the same?
Yeah, actually,
is Max just that far out, or are they trying to hinder Checo's car?
That's actually funny you mentioned that, because I believe Martin Brundle said on the broadcast that it's like they're in different cars. And it's okay, it's a little tinfoily hat.
Checo passed Leclerc, he was leading, then Max catches up and just annihilates him.
Yeah. It does seem like.
Is there that much of a discrepancy between those two drivers, or is it the car?
Max is definitely the better driver. There's no argument there. I mean,
can't argue that. Max is driving like crazy right now.
He's the best driver in the world right now in any form of racing. You could argue. I don't think
Larson and Max Verstappen head to head in something.
I still want to see Max come over and do something NASCAR related. He doesn't want to. He's admitted he likes NASCAR. He's a fan of NASCAR. He loves doing it in the simulator in iRacing. And I saw his like iRating is like in the 9,000s.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just absurdly crazy. But I don't know. It's just it does feel like there's no way that Max is that much better without having a better car. And it's like, I've said this before, it's like, do you think his car Checo's being sabotaged? I mean, I don't know how Checo's a very talented driver. There's no doubt about that. He's a race winner. He won even before he came to Red Bull. I mean, he's had some impressive drives. Like, he's not going to be like an all-time great, but it does have the feeling like he's being sabotaged, that he's being given a bad setup or whatever you want to call it.
Does he not have the same grip levels? Does the car not turn as well? Just for two cars on the same team to be that far off, you gotta wonder.
It's not. I mean, there's definitely a skill set difference, but not that much. Not 25 seconds.
As if you look at it, for the most part, the team cars run pretty close to each other if they run mistake free.
Yeah. And most of the time when you see a gap, it's because
they went off in a turn and then got stuck in DRS train, slow pit stop. You forget to bring out a tire. I think Ferrari did that again.
Yeah, they Ferrari, they can't get out of their own way. It's just unreal.
Yeah, I wonder what your thoughts on that.
And Alpine, fired, gave up on their everybody already. He didn't even have his crew assembled yet. He said he had a crew assembled, but they couldn't come over yet because they had to wait out contracts. He's like, I didn't even have my full team assembled. Like, you gave me no time at all. Which is a fair. I mean, it's obviously we've become not just in racing, it's win now or you're fired.
Mm-hmm.
Football, baseball, you win now or you're fired. If you inherit a mess, you get a couple of years to try to fix it. And if you're not in serious contention quickly, gone.
See ya.
I think it's fair. Like, I think, with all, I mean, there's definitely obviously bad hires. That happens all the time. You get bad drivers, you get bad strategy, you get bad team principles. But yeah, if you're bringing a guy to lead a team that's been a mess, you got to give him time to fix it. It's just unreasonable. It's unreasonable expectation.
Well, Formula One is at the summer break, so it's going to be fun to see what development happens and where the teams stand coming out of it.
And rumor that Mercedes, Red Bull, and one other team may have broken the cost cap last year. But then again, Red Bull allegedly broke the cost cap and got a slap on the wrist. So does it really even matter?
Especially when you're so far ahead and they want to start developing next year's car now.
Yeah. And James, I think it was James Foles, he was with Mercedes for years now, principal at Williams, made an interesting point, which is still funny because he spent so many years at Mercedes, that these other teams are in such a hole because of the cost cap, because all that R&D and that investment is done. Like, they can't go in and pump up a bunch of money and catch up to Mercedes or Red Bull in a year because they're going to blow past that cost cap. They got to do it over like 5 or 6 years. And if you have an impatient board overseeing your team, you're not getting 5 or 6 years. So it's like, I think James can turn Williams around. He seems like, he's showing they want to make the investment. It's just, it's going to take time. But will he get the time? And that's the $1 million question. But Williams has been so bad for so long. Like,
I think there was a little bit of collusion among those top teams. They get all the R&D. then cost cap comes in, and now all
Yeah,
these other
it's like,
are,
we're good now. Like
hey.
we can live. Yeah, and the rest of them come in. It deters outside investment because they can't come in and throw a bag of money at a team that's flailing and catch them up in a year. It's a long-term project.
And that's if you ever catch up with how quickly their technologies advance.
Indeed. But we've got has there been any news on the Las Vegas and their $1,500 a person watch party fee that they're going to be charging? I haven't heard anything.
That I've seen.
It's just the continuous complaining by people that live and work in the area that they're just ripping up roads repeatedly there. The people that live and work there just do not want this event to happen because it's just caused so much chaos with all the road construction, and that's fair. I mean, I get it.
It's gonna be cool as a one-off, but I'd almost rather see them stick to the actual road courses. They're built, they're there.
This is a gimmick race. Miami is a gimmick race. Las Vegas is a gimmick race.
Same as the Chicago street race.
Yes, it was a gimmick race. It was a fun gimmick race, but yeah, will we be saying that in 5 years? I don't know.
I don't even think we say it next year.
We'll see. I think SVG, who apparently has more or less announced he's making a full-time move to NASCAR next year, which is awesome.
Yeah, he's getting ready to run Indy, isn't he?
I believe yes, he is going to be running Indy. I think he's going to be back in the Project 91 car, but he's going to be moving in, and he hasn't said where he's going or which team he's going to be driving for, but you kind of wonder with Justin Haley moving to Rick Ware if he's going to slide into his spot, which I don't know if that's the greatest move, but you could say Justin Haley moving to Rick Ware was a good career move either. But it might have been his only move to have a multi-year deal.
We're going to be seeing across, I think, all three major series, a lot of driver shakeups.
I mean, and you've got Harvick retiring. You've got Martin Truex Jr., who I kind of think if he wins, he'll retire.
I could see it. Go out on top.
Because he won't commit to it. He's having a great year. He's having his probably best year in quite a few years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, the question is, how's it going to play out in the end? So you've got Truex, who might be on his way out. Harvick I mentioned. I don't think you're going to see. You think
IndyCar may look entirely different?
Yeah, IndyCar is going to.
That one's going to be a mess.
That's going to be a major shakeup there. Here's a question for you, Alex Bowman, and I don't know I can't remember how he finished at Richmond this weekend.
Hendrick cars weren't really a factor at all.
No, and he is not.
They were all laps down, I think.
I think they said Alex Bowman's last top 10 was Coda. I mean, he got hurt and was out for a while after that. Let me see here. I'm going to have to look this up. Hey, Michigan this weekend.
Yep. I actually need to buy my tickets still.
About to say, aren't you going to that? Better get moving on this.
Yeah, tickets are available. I'm not worried about that.
Plenty of good seats still available.
Each.
Yeah, so Alex Bowman finished 18th at Richmond. I think at Pocono he might have 24th. So the question is, does Hendrick run Alex Bowman out?
Not performing.
He's not performing. I mean, he's had a bad year.
Yeah, it's not been good.
I mean, for a team that's win or bust.
Won either. But
yeah, he was hurt. He was hurt too, and
then suspended for a race.
Yeah.
How about Kyle Larson giving Denny a little love tap?
Yeah, that was funny. I can't say I'm too terribly surprised.
He was a lap down too, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of funny.
Oh man.
You didn't watch the NASCAR race, did you?
I didn't watch the Cup race this week. I was at a baseball game on Sunday, so
pretty much that race ran green the entire way. Is I couldn't even watch it. It was just back and forth. Maybe I missed a caution somewhere, but
outside of the
caution, yeah, outside of the stage breaks. There was a caution towards the end though, and Chris Buescher's leading. Congrats to him on the win.
Yeah, he got his annual win.
Great win for RFK. So the announcers are saying, do you take the inside or outside? And he's lining up on the inside. You got Kyle Busch, who was sitting third, Denny Hamlin sitting second. And they're kind of joking, like, do you go outside and risk getting run up into a wall here? They're like, well, Buescher's on the inside. He's not taking that chance.
No, not letting Denny do that.
I just started laughing. That was probably the best part of the entire race.
Well, there was also the other week in Atlanta in the Xfinity series where Josh Williams was hanging out near the front, and they said if things worked out, and he goes, Josh Williams wins, does he park it on the start finish line? Rick Allen said that. And here's Steve Letarte like, not touching that one, Rick.
If you didn't catch the spring Atlanta race for Xfinity, I forget, what was it? He was in a wreck. No, he got black flagged.
He got black flagged because like some tape was falling off the back of his car because the weather was cold and it wasn't sticking very well, and it fell off the back, and he got black flagged. He's
mad, and he stopped on the start finish line on the track, got out of his car, and walked to his pit.
It was under caution.
Yeah, it was caution.
Yeah, it was under caution, but they were trying to restart, and then he just parks it right on the start finish line. So and then he was telling the story about it. He goes, they called me to the trailer, which I expected. And like, would you like some pizza or some? He's like, no, I'm here to get yelled at. I don't want pizza.
Oh, probably one of the. If it's not the greatest moment, it's the second in recent NASCAR memory in the last couple of years with Ross Chastain at Martinsville.
Okay, so we have never really talked about SRX on this show before, but I have to mention. Did you see Paul Tracy got kicked out of SRX?
Yeah, I did.
People are like, he hasn't changed at all in 30 years of racing. He's still the same guy. And I don't know what he
caught
did.
A little bit last week.
What I have it. I keep forgetting, and like I can't go back and watch it for some reason. So I have it set to record this week because it's on too early for me to watch on the West Coast. But what did he do? Like he got suspended.
I think they were coming back to green off of a restart or something. This was the first time I watched the heat races. I actually didn't watch much more than like the first 10 laps of the main. And I think he like intentionally turned into somebody on the front stretch. And then it caught 3, 4, 5 cars in it. It wasn't good.
Classic Paul Tracy right there. Still bitter about his Indy 500 win.
I was going to say he wanted to talk about his Indy race.
I thought I'd say Castro Neves was right there. He could have took him out in the process.
It's great though to see all the Indy cars.
Did you see who's taking his spot?
I didn't hear it yet.
Johnny Benson.
Oh, there you go. That's
so apparently
the Cheerios sponsor.
Good question. I got a Johnny Benson Pennzoil 124 scale up in the display case from like 1997, 1998, something.
Well, and you'd like it. Purdue University.
Yeah, I got the Purdue cars.
Castro Neves.
Which is awesome. So that was cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out this week. I've got it recorded or set to record, and I can sit down and watch it tomorrow night or last night. I already watched it. I
think the most exciting NASCAR race this weekend, or my awful weekend, the Xfinity, last 2 laps.
Yes, that was Road America. I did watch Road. Okay, so I lied. I watched the a decent chunk of Road America. Parker Kligerman almost got his win. I thought he was going to get it. Justin Allgaier lost it. He had the lead for, they thought he had it, and then
I turn it on as they're going green with that green white checker overtime.
And then I'm drawing a blank on who that was.
Yeah, Allgaier, Sage Karam, and
oh yeah, Sage Karam was up there too, has not won a race. But who was it that their car was smoking? It was Connor Mozak. That's who it was. Like his car is smoking, and like, is he gonna? They're getting ready to go green. His car is literally just engulfed in smoke. And like, is he gonna pull off to the pits? He's like, nope. He's gonna stick with it and try to hold out for 2 laps. Comes around turn 1 and just leaves a trail of water, which they end up. Yeah, then they have to. Then his car, he keeps going and his car, breaks down halfway through the lap, and then they have to start all over again and clean up the track. It's just like, come on, you should be penalized for that.
What's exciting is that next to last lap was, with all the passing and door to door and fishtailing, last lap was kind of boring.
It was. I mean, yeah, that second to last lap, I thought, honestly, I thought Parker had it. He had the lead, kind of getting close to the last lap, and Sam Mayer, him and Justin Allgaier, or no, him and Sage Karam were fighting, and they kind of went wide on that one turn, and Karam was kind of
got caught.
Yeah, he lost it coming around one of the turns, and I mean, it was a good race. I enjoyed it. I was watching it. I was out Saturday and sitting there watching the race on my phone, and it was a good finish. The last lap was kind of boring, but still, the lead up was good.
I didn't see which race it's going to be, but I did see Connor Daly's got either Xfinity or
Indy. He will be at Indy. He's I think it was an Xfinity ride, if I remember correctly. So
yeah, just saw it skimming social media, but good for him. That's cool. So we got jumping into all sorts of cars now.
We got Michigan this weekend. Trucks are off this week. Then Indianapolis, IRP for the trucks.
We did that one.
We did. Michigan, which you're going to be there for. Indy, Watkins Glen, Daytona.
Like 200 laps of running in circles.
Very small circles. Man.
What does NASCAR need to do to get more competitive?
I don't think
Richmond.
I don't think it's been that bad. I mean, some of the races have been kind of boring, but I mean, it's not like, Byron won 4 races, but it's not like we've got the Max Verstappen Invitational in NASCAR this year.
I'm just looking at it. Do they just settle and just kind of run and not be super competitive in the first 2 stages?
I mean, that's kind of been the strategy. I mean, you look back on like the super speedway races, it's like, you look at like Daytona this year, that first stage was super boring. Everyone just like they got in their 2 packs and they just cruised for the first stage. They cruised for the second stage. I mean, it was almost like you didn't even need to run the first 2 stages. Let's just like, all right, let's go out stage 3, go.
Yeah, what was it? The Atlanta race. Let's just put them 50 laps and let's go.
Race the rain.
That's where I like the old racing. You have the incidents on lap 10 because they're competing.
I mean, ultimately, like, one of the things that drove to the stage racing is you'd have these years where they would be at like Talladega, for example, and you'd have these like groups of like 2 or 3 cars that would just kind of be hanging out in the back all day. And it's like, oh, look, here's Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon that are sitting 18th and 19th right now back here. And then they'd just be hanging out, and then boop, here they go. And then now they're up front. And it's just like, well, that was okay.
I'm okay with that. It's team strategies or driver strategy.
I mean, it worked. Ugh. worked for the first, 60 plus years of NASCAR. I don't know.
Look at your viewership numbers.
Speaking of NASCAR, their viewership numbers are up. The attendance is up. Viewership numbers are up. I mean, it's not 90s level and probably never will be again, but
that's what I'm looking to.
It's up
in their heyday.
I mean, the NASCAR's heyday, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, the IndyCar kart split and nearly destroying open wheel racing in the United States. That NASCAR was the number one benefactor of that split.
Very much so.
They took all those people that had been following, Mario and AJ and Rick Mears and all those guys in the the 80s, and Gordon Johncock and Al Senior, Al Junior, and Ari Leindyke, and then they just threw it all away over that fight. And NASCAR peaked. And they had packed stands for how many years? What, 6-7 years probably? Packed stands every week?
Yeah, it was a long time.
I mean, I remember I have this somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it was like the 50th anniversary yearbook. And it had this whole spread on drivers and the best of and races. And it's just like every single page you look, seats were completely full every single week. It didn't matter if you were at North Wilkesboro or if you're at the brand new, at the time, California Speedway, which we know is Auto Club now. The old Phoenix International Raceway place, it was packed. It was packed everywhere you went. And with few exceptions, not so much anymore.
Even Indianapolis would be entirely packed.
Oh, the early Brickyard races, those were packed. For years, it was packed. I only went to one Brickyard race. That was 2007, and it was busy, but it wasn't packed.
I got the 2. I don't remember the years I went.
Tony Stewart won.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, Tony Stewart won the year I went. I remember that. That was a fan favorite. The local from Columbus, Indiana, coming out there and winning.
Rushville Rocket.
Yep. On that note, too, local racing news: Wild Horse Pass here in Arizona, home of the there's Wild Horse Pass Raceway, but there's also the drag strip that was set to close after the NHRA Arizona Nationals, and found out today it's not closing, which is shocking. I did not see that coming, but right next door is the Radford Racing School, and I literally live like 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes, from a place where I could go get my F4 license in about, about 6 days on track, which is kind of scary, but.
What are you waiting on?
My bank account.
Oh, good point.
But the Radford Racing School has come to an agreement with it's on tribal lands. It's Phoenix, but it's not. It's tribal land, and they were going to close it and actually sell it to make it part of the I-10 expansion. It sits right along the highway. We don't know how long Radford's taking it over, but it has a second life, which is awesome. So good. Glad to see that place survive, at least for a while.
Let's see what happens.
So before we wrap, BCD, behind closed doors.
Yeah, August 8th. We got it. We'll listen a week now.
Kick off the season at Kentucky.
Free entry.
It's a free entry. They're good races. They're late. If you live on the West Coast, good time to jump in. If you're on the East Coast, do it right before you go to bed. If you're on iRacing and you like IR-18s and you want to race with a group, yes, obviously it can't be broadcasted right now. Hoping someday that'll change, but join. What are you waiting for?
Fun last season with just a handful of cars.
Yeah, it was a really small group last time, and every race was exciting. I mean, there were numerous finishes where the Michigan race last season, you had 3 cars finish fraction of a second apart.
Yeah. The granted smaller field, but still championship came down to literally a nose.
Yes, and I almost ruined it for everyone. I'm walking in cold after not racing for 6 months.
I think if you had won it, it actually would have benefited me.
Yeah, I think you still would have won, but I would have been
would have been hilarious though.
Yeah. So we got there's a good group put together. I will make my one appearance. I don't know which race yet, but I wanted to run
Indianapolis and Michigan. That'll be 250-mile races.
Yeah, that'll be wild. I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then what else do you have on the? What'd you do for the road course this time?
We are going to Laguna and I believe Belle Isle.
Good old Belle Isle. I got the schedule posted.
Double check here, pulling this up. Give a quick run through here. Starting off with Kentucky, then going to the short track at Iowa, then on to Laguna Seca. Then we'll take a visit to Chicagoland, then Indianapolis, Midway for a big race. Then we go out to the desert of Phoenix, then to the island on Belle Isle. Then we're on to Nashville Super Speedway, Homestead, and then we will finish the season. Hopefully it's as exciting as last year with Michigan.
September 12th.
So 10 race schedule, 8 ovals, 2 road courses this time. I think a pretty good mix of tracks there.
It is.
Not all those drive considerably different.
And then on top of that, we're talking for our drivers, we do kind of a private, we'll call it a private party at the end of the year for anyone who's raced with us this year. And last year we did a GT3 event at Daytona, which ultimately we actually reran the race as the finale for the season 6 Wednesday night dash. That was an experiment to see if that could work as a series, and I think it did. I mean, it did generate a ton of interest
for our Daytona 2014 too.
Yeah, that too. But this time around, we've got some wacky ideas we're looking at, and multi-class NASCAR oval racing has been thrown around. Talked about doing a dirt race. I don't know.
We got a few ideas. Maybe we toss it out to a vote for our drivers.
I don't know.
I'm still to be determined.
I'm still liking the we'll do a multi. Where are we pitching at the multi-class race?
Old Atlanta.
That's right. I already forgot about that. Not New Atlanta, Old Atlanta. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, something different. Something wild and crazy.
I mean, that's just. Do you imagine having a I mean, we don't have the numbers to do this, but could you imagine a multi-class series of just multi-class stock car all in one?
What was it a couple seasons ago? The next gen, the ARCA car, and the IR-18.
IR-18, yeah. That last year, that in December they did Gen 4 truck and 1987 NASCAR as a multi-class race, and then one of the races they did New Texas.
Oh, nightmare.
Somebody, I forget who it was, one of the bigger YouTube channels did a drive along of them doing that multi-class race, and yeah, it went after the start finish line, one of the cars plowed into somebody that was trying to pull over and stop. About what you do. So
but real quick here, congrats to Colton Gardner.
Yes, congratulations.
Charlotte winner.
He's done this before where he just kind of chills. He keeps himself close enough, but he's back there kind of out of sight, saves his tires, and then charges at the end. And little resistance. Like, he just moved his way, just methodically over 15 laps, just moved his way to the front. Kian McAreevy, Caden's brother, which we're not going to call him Caden's brother because I'm sure he's the older brother too. So that's the other thing. He had the same strategy. It almost worked. He couldn't quite catch Colton in the end, but that tire saving really made a huge difference.
It's big on the ARCA cars, that's for sure.
But Nashville Dover this week.
The Monster Mile.
I haven't been there yet this time around.
I'll have to find it. Maybe I'll pull out my Monster Mile shirt from when I went to a NASCAR race there.
What year was that?
2003.
Man, that was a while ago. Was it Nextel Cup yet at that point?
I don't remember. They've had so many names in the last 15 years. I stopped keeping track after Winston Cup.
Winston, Nextel, Sprint Monster.
Oh, too many names.
Then nothing. I'm surprised that they've gone this long without a title sponsor for the series. What's it been now? 3 years without a title sponsor?
Asking for too much money, probably.
I mean, NASCAR financially is not hurting. What was that? Forbes put out an article recently, and I don't know where they got the numbers from, but they put out the sponsorship dollars that teams were generating, and it was a little surprising. RFK was kind of low. You had Penske, but the thing with Penske, there's an asterisk next to it because it was also Penske's IndyCar team. They were like way ahead of everybody, but you had both the IndyCar team and his Cup Series team in there.
Are they the only ones that double dip now?
Yes.
Does Ganassi pulled their NASCAR
sold? That could change next year. We might see an Andretti sighting in NASCAR. Could see an Andretti sighting in Formula One.
This Hendrick doesn't go down. Andretti doesn't come up right now.
But RFK only have like 20 million in sponsorship dollars. They run at 2 cars, 10 million a piece.
Seems very low.
It does seem very low, but yet they seem to be pretty competitive. I guess King's Hawaiian isn't giving Brad that much money. Or what's this one? This is Violet Defense. This was one of his cars last year. I don't even know what Violet Defense is. I just think it's a good looking car.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's the thing I always liked about NASCAR is you'd see these sponsors on these cars and you're like, what in the world is that? It's like, okay, here's one. What is Raptor? I don't know, William Byron. What's Raptor?
I think it's a misplaced advertisement. They didn't realize it's a Chevy.
Yeah, right.
The Ford Raptor.
Yeah. I mean, and then you have, Daniel Suarez in the Tootsie's Lounge. Like, if you've been in Nashville, okay, fine. But then, other cars, it's a little more obvious. We'll start with, the most iconic brand in the world, McDonald's.
McDee's.
Another iconic brand, Air Jordan.
Air Jordan.
Another iconic brand. Well, okay, maybe not iconic. Hooters.
Yeah, it's kind of iconic.
Yeah, so I mean, it's.
And to go with the hat, I actually have this one.
Yeah, got the DuPont car here. Oops, mellow yellow. Oh wait, that's not real. I don't know. I still think the Hardee's car from Days of Thunder this was a good looking car.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What
do you think? We babbled enough tonight.
Yeah, I think we're done. Consider imagine we filled this much time despite the fact that I didn't watch a single minute of the Richmond race. I didn't see a single minute of the race this weekend, but Road America, a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
Again, thank you all for tuning in every week.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know why, but I mean, let me see here.
And really reach out to us on social media if there's topics that you want us to look into or hear what our thoughts are. We may be completely off base, but share.
we are completely off base. There's no doubt about it.
But, so if there's something you want to hear, shoot us a message, follow us on social media, and let us know.
Yeah, 3,500 people have listened to this in podcast form over the last year plus.
Thank you.
Why? Thank you, but why? No, seriously, it's amazing. We still have a really, I don't know, again, don't know why, we still have a decent listing following in Singapore. I mean, it's like,
we need to see if we maybe get Daniel Frost on the show. He's in next series.
yeah, yeah,
At a IndyCar
yeah.
ride next year.
I think that's a good idea. We need to start getting get some drivers on here. Well, we gotta. We kind of waited too long last year once the season ended, and then it's like the season ended. We gave them a couple weeks. Next, you know, it's Christmas, and now it's Daytona time. It's missed our window. So anyway, frracingonline.com. Sign up for Behind Closed Doors. We'll prorate you into Wednesday Night Dash. Behind Closed Doors is free. Sign up for sign up for the AFSP 200 at Michigan Speedway in September 17th, Sunday. $20 donation to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We've talked about that. We're really going to be ramping that up in the upcoming weeks. Yep. Get this field firmed up. We got some prizes. We got to get some more locked in. It's going to be a good event. We really want you to come join us, whether you drive with us or you just watch and give money to a good cause. So please do so at FR Racing Online on social media and streaming platforms. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.